Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DreamHack Beyond Qualifiers, qualifier number 4. I am Tetcher, this is Jinxie, and we are coming at you with the Grand Finals, where we already have our final 2 teams selected.
That's right, it's going to be 30k Blue versus Can't Censorship, also known as CCS. The last of the CCL teams are out today, so we're for a bunch of newcomers we haven't seen too much of this week. You know, we've seen a lot of CCS, we've seen a lot of 30k Blue, but you know, one of them, both of them, if I remember correctly, right, will be making it through. So that's super exciting.
They will be making it through. They will be our final 2 teams, which is good for them, considering literally in the last qualifier, qualifier number 3, they both got knocked out in the semi-finals. 1 series away from making it to the qualifier, through the qualifiers to the playoffs at DreamHack Beyond, and they've done it. They've fought through and showed that persistence, making it to those final series. 30k in a 30k Blue, sorry, in a 3-0. Gonna have to specify that. That's gonna be annoying later. 30k Blue in a 3-0, and Can't Censorship in a 2-1 in some very fun matchups. But we have a grand final coming up for you. It will be a best of 3, and we will have our map bans ready for you shortly.
Everyone just getting everything all squared away and all set up, so it's just absolutely perfect for everyone, and I am really, really excited. You know, there's been a talk about, are the other CCL teams going to come in? Who's going to play? You know, is Shelly Mountain finally going to make it? But yeah, the answer is no, not this time round, and personally, I'm really excited for the CCS team, because I think if any of you guys have been involved in any of the underground just amateur series, CCS is a pretty prominent organization who I know have been vying for some of the top spots in some of the other tournaments, so maybe this time they'll get on through. Who knows? So just as a community member, that makes me really excited.
It is very cool. We have a lobby up. We're just making sure all the players are in it, all the players and all the casters, etc. So we're very excited for that. So once again, our final teams, while we get everything in and everything sorted, our final teams making it in to DreamHack Beyond will be Simplicity, Wildheart Esports, Granite Gaming, Oxygen Esports, 30k, Diamond Hands, and these 2 teams, 30k Blue, who will be on our left, and CCS, who will be on the right. And it looks like this lobby is filling up pretty quickly, so we're going to be ready to go quite shortly.
There are a lot of different new folks coming in here, so hopefully everything is fine.
Yes.
I know it's going to be fine. Our producer is wonderful. Our observer is wonderful. Looks like somebody's going to have to get the... Okay. So trying to, like as we're looking through all the slots, since obviously we only have so many, you know, making sure everybody gets where they need to be, but we are all set.
We are not. We don't have our producer in here, who actually needs to be in here, so
yeah,
someone is going to have to leave. So, we will be ready to go shortly once we have that sorted. So, I hope everybody is having a good day today. Once again, best of 3 on the way through. And let's see if our map bans are at the ready so we can see where we will be going for this first series, as the teams have selected it. We do know, no matter what, that the first pick went to 30k Blue, so Can't Censorship were able to pick the map picks and bans. So we'll see what happens here. All right, looks like we have decided who is going out and who is coming in. So we'll sort that in a moment. Oh, there we go. I was confused there, but a player was in one spot and the our production was in a player spot. But we have it sorted. They are joining in a moment, and then we'll be good to go.
All right, you know, it's hard. Everybody wants to get on this DreamHack action, but unfortunately, there are only a couple of spots. So some folks are just going to have to, you know, use that wonderful clean feed that has been provided completely free for anybody who wants to cast any of the events. So they can check that out. Make sure they can still get in on all of this. But it looks like we do have bans out for you guys. So as a reminder, there's just been a little bit of an issue getting Garden of Terror on the map ban. So
yep.
That is in the pool. It is not appearing on our screen. So it is there. I believe it was banned out. Yes, 30k banned away Garden of Terror and Sky Temple. Braxis and Alterac were banned by Can't Censor Ship. So now you guys know. Those are the maps we cannot go to. Nobody wants to go to, and you know, that's fair.
Absolutely. So we have our first map as Tomb of the Spider Queen, so we can get on into that as soon as possible with a couple more remaining maps. We've seen Dragonshire, we see a lot of tombs. Maybe we'll get that legendary Tomb of the Spider Queen game number 3 to end out a series, what we always like to see.
Absolutely. So we go in just a few moments here. Looks like we are all set to go. We're seeing the weak goods in chat from the players, so we should be good to get rocking and rolling for you fine folks in just a couple of moments here.
Hopefully, we're getting everything sorted. We have some wonderful people supporting behind the scenes today, but it is a slight change from the usual, so everything is just getting it settled, and the rest of the show will be smooth as butter. So, we're getting ready to jump on in. I know I am ready. I know you are ready. So the second the players are ready, we'll be heading into game number 1, which will be Tomb of the Spider Queen. Once again, these two teams, we have some legendary players on these, some incredibly strong players, a couple of which have played together in the past. One of the biggest ones I want to point out, at least to start us off here, is the fact that we are going to be seeing Pirate Rum, coming in for the side of Can't Censor Ship. Pirate Rum is a really strong player who has a lot of potential, but hasn't broken through to the top of the scene, at least yet. So this is going to be one of their first chances to try and push their way through. They weren't able to get into CCL in Season 1 or 2, but they got very close both times. This is their chance to really try and make a name for themselves and show up, because they are a really good player.
Absolutely. I think everyone's really excited to see him. You know, it's somebody that has been talked about for a while. A bunch of new faces, you know, a couple of old ones, folks we like to see. And, you know, I think all of them were in that free agent pool for the longest time. And again, it's a bunch of folks who were really, really close, but were beat out for one reason or another. I'm excited to see what they can do. But we are, you know, as we said, just about to get on ready here. Let's talk about the map a little bit. What are you expecting to see on Tomb of the Spider Queen, Tetcher?
So, of course, there are two main strategies when it comes to Tomb of the Spider Queen. You have the standard 4-man rotation, where you have a large group of 4 people that rotates from middle lane to top lane and vice versa, just making sure that you can collect and gather all the gems, with a solo lane, which is usually the bottom lane, where they just bully each other, and on the odd occasion, you'll get ganks to try and focus on that siege camp. But the majority of the time, that lane becomes a bit of an island. The second way to play it, and a little bit rarer, but does pop up every now and again, is to throw in a good hero like Junkrat, who can fill in your assassin role, but also wave clear really well solo. Greymane can also fit that role every now and again, and there are quite a few other heroes where you stick them in the top lane, so you still have that solo bot lane, and you still have that solo top lane suddenly, so where the rest of the 3-man rotates and tries to just put even more pressure on the bot lane and becomes a gank squad while also clearing mid lane. Those are the two main strategies we see a lot of the time, but the name of the game, biggest thing on this map, wave clear and the ability to step up and grab those gems.
Makes a lot of sense. And as we hop into the draft here, to see if any of those come to fruition. There have been a couple of spicy plays if you guys have been watching any of the other streams there. So, you know, maybe we're completely wrong. It seems to always be the caster curse whenever we do something like this, you know. We've seen a lot of really interesting double bruiser lanes. We've seen a bunch of tankless comps. We've seen a bunch of, you know, all the tank comps. So lots of different ways the teams can play this, but of course the biggest thing here is you want extra wave clear. So we'll have to see, you know, what they're looking for. Some even some of the lesser picked heroes have a place here. Like I think Jaina and Kael'thas are heroes who don't really make it up this high, but still, you know, with the way things have been going through this entire qualifier, anything is possible. Is Lucio gonna be banned away right out the gate? And I think that's fair.
Lucio's still very strong. He got a little bit of a patch recently which fixed his bug, so he is back in full action, and as such, having 4 cleanses plus an extra 4 for yourself every time you do it is pretty nice. So Lucio is going to be taken out here. We talked about wave clear. We did see in some of the previous games, we saw a Valor composition come out from one of the teams. Valor has dropped out of favor a little bit due to the nerfs to her, but she's still played, she's still popular, but her damage scaling is a little bit less unreasonable, is how I would maybe describe that. You still have to commit to protecting her, though, because she is still made of wet newspaper.
Just talking about all this in the Vala comps, especially, one of the big counters has been running something like Stukov variant or Malfurion variant, because you can just dive under with that point and click CC. And we saw it in one of the really big tournaments lately, and it's a favorite of one of the, you know, High Masters teams, and it had been banned out against them, all save one team, and they ended up, you know, not banning it out this time around with Lucio on the enemy team, and then ended up just absolutely dongling on it because, you know, if that's somebody's best strategy, that's how you win. And someone was like, well, why are they banning it out? Why not just pick a cleanse hero? And everyone was like, we just had a hero with 5 cleanses. We're actually going to see Uther and Vala come in
There's some cleanses.
But somebody with 4 cleanses couldn't beat that variant strategy. So yeah, at that point it is fine to just ban it out. But Blaze, after those recent changes, is really creeping through the meta. So we maybe see a variant, you know, maybe spicy variant in the off lane, or is it just going to be Blaze main tank since that's all the hot right now?
There's 2 great ways to play this. The fact is, new Blaze is solid. He can still do those old off-lane duties if they want to. Still has enough wave clear to just manage and handle the waves, but has a lot of CC to go with. The damage reduction that Blaze can offer with certain builds is pretty good, and the fact that suppression and crossfire are, sorry, at least crossfire is now combined into base kit, so you can now more freely pick suppression, can be really solid as an anti-damage build into that Valor, which has already been picked into the Blaze. There is a slight advantage for the Valor here in the fact that she could just get Hot Pursuit at level 7, and that hypermobility is going to make her very difficult for Blaze to pin down. But if they do, we already know Valor is very squishy. Uther's going to have to work very carefully to keep them alive.
Absolutely. We're going to see Stitches banned away here this time round. Another one who has been making a huge comeback after those recent changes. Bans coming out. Members taking a long while to decide this. We're on the side of and Malfurion finally deciding who they're going to ban out. Now, this is really interesting because we've seen renditions of Malfurion Uther in the past. We saw a lot of Uther tank before this most recent patch, but after, you know, hitting him with that hard nerf bat, we don't see a whole lot of it anymore. However, you know, there are a couple of different changes that I'm excited to see about them. The biggest one being, sometimes we get to see Malfurion and Uther, but they both go the aggressive ults. So, you know, Divine Storm, Twilight Dream can really put a hurting on the enemy team.
We are going to be seeing a second support here. We're not going to get that Twilight Dream Divine Storm wombo combo. Maybe Nano Boost D-Storm. That's not going to happen. Nano Boost in this case, though, from that Ana is going to be so strong. Nano Boost the Valor with Strafe or the Sonya. It even has a huge amount of ability power. Here's the counter to it. Very hefty on that front line and very squishy in the back line. Maiev can punish both of those, grouping people up for blazing Cassia in the front line or diving that back line with Diablo to follow up. That is a fantastic idea for a counter. You're scared of your opponents just getting past the front line to the back line, so you pick something immovable, a bulwark that can stand in the way.
And this is really going to be hard now for 30k because Maiev does next to nothing to Deathwing. Cassia can do a little bit more, but I can't recall if she gets percentage damage, and even if she does, it's significantly later in the game. So, what is it, 13, 16? I know.
I think it's 13. It's on her teleport.
Okay.
She gets it when she arrives at her teleport location, which also does mean that she's diving onto a Deathwing against a Sonya and an Uther, where she could just get stun locked.
The other side of that, however, though, is Deathwing is such a huge model that, you know, you can kind of use him to get to somebody else. If you see Vala fleeing away, if you see Ana fleeing, then that's a great big, you know, like here, take this, one quick swipe. You don't pull him, but you can grab the rest of them in. The same thing can be done with minions, and I believe tower walls, if they're in range of it. Don't quote me on that, though.
Anything you can auto.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, absolutely. You know, towers, forts, keeps, all that good stuff we'll have to see as we head on into game number 1.
once everyone has finished loading, of course, because some of these players are going to be fighting for some of those new graphics cards, perhaps, saving up a little bit of money. But we are in. We have loaded into Tomb of the Spider Queen, so we're going to be getting onto our observer and preparing to jump on in. I hope you're all as excited as I am, because this should be good. Once again, this is a best of 3. Tomb of the Spider Queen will be our first map.
Just about ready to head on in. I'm so stoked for the 2 different comps. So we head on in here to the game. Over here on the blue side, Carbon on that Maev, Lupus will be your Blaze, Dechuggy on that Diablo, Kelsier will be your Cassia, and Vince will be your Brightwing.
And on the right-hand side, in the red trucks, it will be Xenorus on the Ana, Pirate Rum on the Deathwing. Caesar Salad will be playing Uther, Roger is Vala, and Nathanatos will be playing that Sonya. Let's get this underway. So we have a look at some of these level 1 talents, and we're going for a little bit of an unstoppable for Blaze, bringing out the new habits here.
Interestingly enough here, there was a change to new habits. It was nerfed recently. Another one I'm looking at is Charge Strikes coming out for Cassia. We typically see the Thunder Stroke, but hoping to get a little bit of extra damage there onto Pirate Rum earlier rather than later. We're going to see a big fight up here in the top lane. It's huge aggression coming out onto CCS, and that is going to be Uther going down first. Teleport coming out from Whitewing just for safety's sake, but Soak is the name of the game. They can't dwell on that now as the rest of the team rotates down.
Very nicely done. Picking up that early kill very quickly. And they're looking good with the first blood on the board. Looking at other quests as well at level 1, we have that Fire at Will and the Wave of Light for Sustain. And Deathwing going with the old style range build, not the new style range build with the extra regen.
Makes a lot of sense dealing with the enemy team there. Diablo, Blaze, Maev, they all want to get in on top of you. Cassia also doesn't have the greatest range to step onto Deathwing. So makes sense, getting that extra little bit of healing out. They're going to grab this bottom camp before continuing to head through and just continue to keep pressuring 30k here. But 30k all set to go. Just going to once again get those spider butts.
Just farming up as best as they can, grabbing as many gems so that they can try and go for the first turn in. 30k Blue playing a little bit further back. Lupus looking for the crossfire to help with the wave clear to Chuggy. Trying to see if anyone steps up out of position, but so far, nothing that they could really punish.
Everyone being so patient right now. Tomb of the Spider Queen is one of those maps where, you have little tiny skirmishes. Like, speaking of which, Nathanatos taking a little bit of a bonk in there. We're going to be able to step back away, eats that empowered auto attack from Kelsier. Uther, once again, takes quite a bit of damage. Ana not able to keep them up, will fall down, but they're able to get Nathanatos out. So, one of those things where you see small skirmishes, and then, it all kind of blows up around these turn-in points.
Very nicely done. Solid wave clear from the teams. Good kill as well. 30k Blue creeping out ahead here. Already over half a level lead. It's a good start for 30k Blue here. And CCS, they are on the back foot, but they are not out yet. Lupus going to turn in quite a few of those gems. Carbon still trying to bully Pirate Rum here. Did go for that percentage damage. Turns out it was at level 6. 6% maximum health damage on the teleport for Carbon here. So he's going to back up. And Blaze went for Meltdown, a great counter into a Deathwing. Damage reduction up to 40% when you hit a hero with your Pyromania, which with the new habits level 1 will have a lower cooldown reduction.
And they did change Blaze recently, remember, to include that crossfire into his kit. So we can also reduce the spell power of Deathwing. A lot of folks don't know that he actually is very spell dependent, especially with that Infernus there. We're going to see another little bit of a team fight break out. They're trying to use that lava wave to push folks away. Gonna jump in with the chomp, extra bonus damage. Right now, it's all about clearing out that bruiser camp, that extra spell armor. You can see really not allowing Pirate Rum to get much damage in. Ends up losing a plate there and has to back out.
One's built for Brightwing to try and protect the team from the amount of CC that is on the side of Can't Sense the Ship. Good sleep dart by Xenorus, but is it going to turn into anything? Roger about to have to do some serious work. They are one of the best wave clear heroes in this comp. Fire at Will is stacked, but they have to do a lot of work not going for the movement speed talent at level 7. Instead, Frost Shot coming in here. The slow and burst damage for Roger, really embracing that hyper carry nature they're going to have to fill.
And in the meantime, it looks like Deathwing, as soon as I say it, every single time, was holding that pick, but decides to go for the meteor drop with the Skyfaller. To see Lupus dash away there in the middle. Both teams trying to get these turn-ins there. They're just inches away, but 30K Blue is going to be the first one to secure this, so they'll be able to push in. Now, depends on how many kills they get and how much value they'll get out of this. Typically with your first Web Weaver wave, you really only expect to get a couple of front walls, but if you find kills, you can take up to a whole fort.
Very true. You can get a huge snowball if you're able to get that capitalization. Blaze, suppressive fire, spell power reduction, and damage reduction. So much value can be gained from this build as they do begin to push up. Blaze, the Maiev and Diablo in the bot lane. As the ranged heroes, Cassia and Brightwing, trying to siege the mid lane, bullying Vala. You can see that burst that Cassia offers, really putting a lot of pressure onto Roger there to try and lower that defense. But out of mana, cannot commit any further.
Arwen tries to find Nathanatos there, but Uther with the cleanse will be able to save the day. On top, Pirate Rum, the other dragon on the map, dealing with that top lane, and down in the bottom, just pushing away as well. Might be under fire, but nope, the team is able to clear that out while Blue gets in position. They don't have another turn-in just yet, but they're able to try and prevent Censorship from getting a turn-in of their own, at least in the bottom lane. Maybe looking for one of those squishy stragglers to pick them.
Going to be seeing a turn in the attempt from Roger. Gets them just before Kelsey can interrupt with the Lightning Javelin here. A good poke of Sweep. Finally going to see Can't Censorship trying to gain some momentum back. Even though they're down 2 kills, they were able to defend very well, and they are keeping up.
I was about to mention, but it looks like the members of Can't Censorship had other things to deal with on their plate, maybe just didn't necessarily mind, but that bottom camp was taken while the turn-in was there. Just Carbon on that bottom camp. Pirate Rum going to descend to try and help against this big 4-man in the middle lane here. They're going to step up. Web Weaver, though, already looking quite low to her own deteriorating health, and the push from Kelsey are there. They're just going to continue chunking in. They have level 10s available. Vala not quite picking hers just yet. Containment disc coming out here from Maiev.
Very smart. It's the 1 minute CC they could possibly pick in this comp that could affect Deathwing. So it's going to be a little bit of extra CC so that they can choose their fights a bit more carefully. Pirate Rum going to eat a big chunk of damage from Kelsey here. As Roger backing away. Still is made of paper. Still a Vala. Even with all that damage and all that protection, if you're not in position or your team doesn't get the heal off in time, you still die. You have to be careful.
Game's not going to get much more than 30K here. So they're just going to continue to try and pressure in on this mid lane. Front wall will be knocked down. Pirate Rum sitting at 30 armor. Actually takes a big chunk. Barely manages to hang on there from Kelsey. Hitting him once again with those super impactful charge strikes. Red team, Nathanatos better be careful as the whole blue team is there. They're going to find this stun. Pirate Rum ready to land here, though. We're going to see Wrath actually popped before Nathanatos decides to just head back in.
With the rotation of Kelsey, and Nathanatos has to back up a little bit more. Vince going to teleport in to try and help the team. Pirate Rum is doing big damage to that backline. A great dive by Nathanatos. Blink heal keeps Vince alive, but that sacrifices Kelsey. They have to get the gems. Vince isn't stepping up. Chuggy will grab the 20 before they perish. Containment disc onto Vala, but they dive past. Fantastic fierce spear combo. And that's going to be Maiev taken out. And CZS, they even up the kill count.
We're able to grab those gems. They only lost about 5 there. Unfortunate timing, though. Great job by Pirate Rum using that big Deathwing body to block them, making him really step in. Both the DPSers going down there. And despite the fact that Vala was in that containment disc, you know, it didn't really matter. Pirate Rum said, oh, that's cute. You want to see some flame breath? Here's some flame breath. And just absolutely decimating that backline of 30K Blue.
I really do love that the Deathwing has gone for this build. It's working very well in this case. There's so much mobility on the side of 30k blue. The Molten Breath might not have got so much value, so this much more aggressive style of play, getting a little bit of long-range poke, a little bit of hard engage and damage potential without having to just have that big setup. Seems to be working well for them. Committing in that melee mode right now, pushing into Kelsier. They try to get him, but Kelsier sustained by Vince Strafe with the chase. 40 hit points. Kelsier stays alive. Roger picking up Strafe, burned it, not able to find the kill.
All right, for them now, they do have their Web Weavers. Carbon will clear that one up in the top. Bottom lane being harassed by Lupus. Thanatos going to come in, try and even it out a little bit. They're looking for this bottom forward, even despite the Web Weaver going down. There's still a big wave here. Stun will come down, but it's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, it is an all-out brawl. We are going to see that containment just come out once again. There's the D-Shield. There's the Lightning Breath, but it really only hits the minions.
Does help clear the Web Weaver though, and forces Deathwing to back up. Pyron was a little low, will take to the sky and get that healing back with that level 7. So they're holding out for the moment. Blaze at level 13, picking up the new talent Collision Course, giving jet propulsion damage now. 541 to the first enemy hero hit, a good chunk of burst if they go in aggressively. And Cassia, much safer now, unlike the Thanatos, who is not getting out. Oh, maybe they will get the heal from Uther to stun, and they turn it onto Carbon. Carbon jumping back. What a save from Caesar Salad there. Camp is stolen. But yeah, able to get out. I was going to say Kelsier has that extra range with Gloves of Alacrity, but we got very distracted by the Thanatos.
Yeah, you know, Sonya was recently nerfed to make her survivability less powerful. I don't think anybody told Thanatos that popping that wrap, even with the teleport or the polymorph coming down, not able to take the 4v1. They ended up losing out on the camp, but of course, able to just clear that really, really quickly. And then the beautiful thing, Uther still giving 25 armor on their own heals, just not to themselves. So Thanatos saving Private, able to get him out, no problem. They get the clear away. Pirate Rum jumps back up into the sky, and we're back to getting those gems.
So at the moment, we have 101 gems in the hands of 30k blue. Pirate Rum immediately landing in, and goodbye. The plate barely surviving, but that was so much health just taken out immediately. Pirate Rum going in, losing the first plate. They are beginning to turn some attention onto Caesar Salad. The Thanatos was trying to flank, getting punished for it. Already lost half their hit points. Gonna look for the Whirlwind to try and stay alive. The shield is on them, but the bunker protecting the rest of the team. Popping out, fantastic fear, but it only hits Kelsier as Chuggy is turned onto the containment disc on Deathwing to hold him back, but he dives out right as the disc ends and picks up the kill on Diablo.
36 gems down. Carbon able to take quite a bit, but Blaze will also fall there, losing another 30. No one able to clear that one. 54 gems on Carbon, and a beautiful sleep by Xanaris over the wall. Both of the Wardens comes out. Vince needs to give his life to save Carbon, but he teleports back into the belly of the beast, and that is a huge smash. No one can get around. You can see all the members of Can't Censorship defending these with their lives, and as such, more than half the gems, 80% of them end up going down. They're Chucky trying to stay alive. The Brightwing heal is good. They're looking for Caesar Salad, but nobody goes down on the side of Can't Censorship. Beautiful play by the boys in red.
Absolutely brilliant, but it's just going to get harder for 30k blue to hold back. We're going to have a quick pause here, but we can still talk about some of the talents here. That is a Manticore from the Valor now. It's already quite hard for Diablo to stay alive in these fights. They're doing their best. They've gone for the Firestomp build, which will help out quite a bit, but that Manticore could potentially eat that Diablo if they can't get onto Valor, and with so much sustain, it's going to be difficult.
Absolutely looking through. Is it going to be the Flame Breath at 13 and 16 as we typically see? Of course, with the Fire Stomp build, the Incinerate and the Lava Burst from Deathwing, we expected the Fire and Fury, and then of course the Elementium Plating, which has come out a couple of times now. So Deathwing is becoming harder and harder to kill, and Vala is just tearing through this front line here. It was a beautiful pickup by the side of Can't Censorship. It looks like there's a call on the end of the members of CCS. So we'll get back in just a couple of seconds there. But another thing that I was going to talk about, but there's just been so much action happening that I think is really awesome, is in these really rough fights, we're seeing Ana actually nano boost Uther to get those extra heals out and get those heals back quicker, since they are the more bursty heals. So I think that's a really smart and unusual play that we don't typically see in our typical Storm League games. So just huge shouts again to Can't Censorship.
They're really holding it well. They're doing a good job. I also love that the Sonya has gone for the more aggressive build here, because the rest of the team seems to have the whole defense thing pretty handily sorted, because they're just able to blow everyone up already and have so much sustained with that with that Deathwing, like you called earlier in that little break. But we are back in. Turn-in does come in from Can't Censorship. How can 30k Blue hold? What are they going to be able to do here?
Hard thing here for the members of Can't Censorship is this is one of the maps that you can just kind of turtle in on, and if you're able to do it, even if all of your keeps are down, you know, you can still come in through. And Pirate Rum gonna have to burn that fear there immediately. Brightwing will end up falling, but he loses almost all of his health to Chuggy, trying to duel it out with the Thanatos there, and Roger coming in to just slay him with that Mana Core, as you were talking about earlier, Tetcher. And based on how these fights are going, they may not be able to turtle for 30k here.
They're going to try and back up 30k. They tried to survive that engage. A predictive pre-cleanse came out from the Brightwing to try and get him out of there, but it got popped so quickly with the really well-timed fear into the spear of the Thanatos. Good charge. D-shield for the turnaround to keep Sonya alive. The Thanatos will back away. Kelsier has percentage damage now and is beginning to burn through some of these front lines, but the double healers, it's just too much, and Deathwing's not gone. They're just in the sky, so even though that looked like it was a 4v4 for a sec, that could have turned into a 4v5 at any time. 30k Blue wisely back away.
I see the members of Can't Censorship look to go for this bottom keep as well now. You can see Deathwing just try and duel it out with Kelsier up there in the top. And this is where it gets rough, because Kelsier is actually putting a big hurt on the Pirate Run. We saw in that last team fight, this isn't unwinnable for the boys in blue here. We are going to see that strafe come out. Not the upgrade just yet, so they have to back away safely as it does not heal. Great use of the Gloom there. But Jitagi looking for more. Unfortunately, the CC is just too strong on the side of CCS.
Carbon one-man tether. Here comes the Cataclysm for the backline, but Carbon's already too low. Good flip by Jitagi to keep them alive. That is a great use of the Pyromania from Lupus to keep them alive as well, but the fact they are all hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Immediate counter from the Bellowing Roar to disengage Can't Censorship. Even though they had more hit points total, they know that one death could snowball a lot worse for them, especially if it's Valor. So they play safe and back away, but 30k Blue aren't done. Even with low hit points, they come in, they want something, they need anything. The Thanatos is the target, but Pirate Rum is deep in this fight, trying to prevent an escape as Lupus will fall.
And continue running through, trying to find Kelsier. He's so low. Diablo going down just as well. They're running. Carbon trying to get away. Vince running for his life, but Liquor looks like he's going to be the only one making it out.
What a fantastic sustain-based comp here. The aggression from 30k Blue, very warranted there. They had to try and make something happen at this stage of the game, pre-level 20, but with those kills, Can't Censorship get their 20s. They push in for the core with only Vince left to defend. This is going to be game number 1 of our grand finals, going over to Can't Censorship.
Beautiful adaptation there from Can't Censorship. It was looking really, you know, I was super behind the draft of 30k Blue there. The Maiev came out, the Diablo came out. Not heroes that we get to see too often anymore, but the Deathwing, it was just too much. They didn't really have anything to deal with it. And they just couldn't go from there, you know. Always rough, but still great job by the teams there. Excited to see what 30k can do, because I love aggressive team comps, and I am super hyped for another aggressive one to come out of them.
I mean, just look at the KDA there. We just jumped off of it, but there is a what? Only 2 deaths were on Uther. The perfect person to die if anyone is going to die. It could not have been a better choice there. Getting that bonus healing out after your death. They played that so well that that's the only person who perished. Everyone else just sustained so amazingly. Deathwing didn't top the damage chart. That was, of course, Vala, unsurprisingly, and, of course, Cassia, the hypercarry from the other side, but kept up with Sonya, kept up, beat out Blaze by Evan Diablo. They did a really good job. This was executed brilliantly. Well done, CCS. Good start.
Both teams are tired of just barely missing the cutoff. Obviously, both of them gonna be going on to the finals here.
Yeah.
It looks like members of CCS want that piece of money just a little bit more, at least in this game number 1. We'll have to see how they turn it around there. And looking through, I love this adaptation of the Vala comp. Well, it's been kind of weird for double support just because, you know, there were Uther changes, and then, of course, wave clear is really important, especially on Tomb. We saw it played earlier on in the season. If you find folks at home or watching any of the other streams there, you know, we saw AVD run a very similar comp with the Zarya and the Malfurion and the Uther, and I believe they had a proper tank. The Deathwing just, it works so well. You need 2 bruisery tanks. Teams are going to make up that damage elsewhere because Roger was pumping out the damage. However, sometimes it's just not enough. So great to see this adaptation on it, and it worked out well for him.
It was really well executed because it's a big AoE, not just CC, but displacement with that bellowing roar. You can't commit. The big counter to a Vala is to commit to the Vala and kill it. Just try and out damage the healers, because otherwise they're just going to do so much damage to you. You can't do that if 1, Deathwing, who does a lot of damage, is in your 5-man and just causes a lot of damage, and 2, if you're running away in the opposite direction because you've been feared. The Deathwing was a great reaction, as you called here. And these wins are important, Jinxie, in these series. The bracket has not been released yet, but if we go by stat, these matches all count for seeding, I believe. So in this case, for example, if we say like the middle teams face each other and the top and bottom teams face each other, in this case, the loser of this match would be playing against Simplicity, the CCL champions, in their first matchup. So these could be really important for them. So every one of these matches could make a difference here. And the losing team in this case might be playing against Diamond Hand, for example, who are starting to show up again, but are currently a lower ranked team.
Just how the pieces drop sometimes, you know, from what we've seen in other tournaments, from what we've seen back in the HGC days, you know, in the nicest possible way. You're 100% right. I know exactly who I would rather prefer to go up against, and it's not Simplicity. So looks like we have our first pick chosen by 30K, and Infernal Shrines is going to be our pick for the next map. So they're going to get that all set up for us, and then we should be ready to head on in there. Very, very similar to a lot of the other qualifiers that we've been seeing. I always make the comparison that Tomb of the Spider Queen and Infernal Shrines are very similar because, you know, this is a huge pushing objective that can really, really make or break the map. However, the camps are still really important, and there are other ways to make things happen on the map without the objective, and I think that's where the 2 maps really differ.
Very much so. The camps on this map are a lot more important, especially that Fallen Shaman camp up in the top lane. It can just cause a lot of chaos and a lot of problems if it's not dealt with expediently. So, whereas compared to with the Spider Queen, the Siege Giant can maybe get some good damage done, but the Bruiser camp on that map really requires a commitment to push with it. So I'm definitely with you. There is a big difference of stuff can be done a little bit better without the objective on this map compared to Tomb. The objective on this map, obviously, 3 different types. If you get a Frozen, hard pushing can be done. The other 2 are just damaged in just different ways.
Absolutely. You know, I've always said you can always really tell kind of where the teams differ in skill level just by how those bruiser camps are utilized and how often they're picked up. And it's one of the reasons we see, you know, in an amateur series where a team is maybe bronze or silver, that camp can go the entire game without getting picked up. And as such, as we move on up here, you know, if one of these teams aren't picking up that bruiser camp, then I can almost assure you the other team will. They're constantly on it before every objective. Sometimes during the objective, the tank goes down early, one of the wave clear DPS go down. You can grab that bruiser camp and try and make something happen elsewhere. So the macro is so important, and it shows these guys are here to play.
It really does, and we'll have to see how they do play it as we are just waiting for the last of our group to jump on into the lobby, which is now up. And we will be able to get started very shortly. Once again, Infernal Shrines is the map. So you've already mentioned the macro is very important. Obviously, AoE and wave clear is incredibly important. The ability to just quickly clean up the objective is going to do a lot of work here. Once again, 30k, going to be getting that first pick, first ban. And there's one thing I want to talk about here. We talked about the macro and the AoE. You are a tank player in the majority of your games. Now, what tanks are going to get the high priority here? Because we can obviously guess ones like Johanna are going to get the AoE. Who else is going to get value?
Oh, goodness. It really depends on what you're looking for. Honestly, Deathwing is really fantastic in the main tank role. Once again, he's got great wave clear. Mei is a super powerful tank. She offers a lot of zoning, especially if we see 30k blue go in once again with another really aggressive combination. You know, Diablo, I could 100% see it here. He's great on the shrine since it is such an enclosed close quarters, but Mei shuts that down. Anytime you go in, you can zone away the back line. Otherwise, it's kind of a toss-up. Tanks are in such a weird spot right now, and I hate to say that, but it becomes a weird spot where you end up, you know, Hogger main tank, Sonya in the off lane. Kind of weird shenanigans like that.
I love what you said about the Mei, though. Zoning is actually something that is potentially underrated on this map. It's where we used to see a lot of Decade on this map. He could still be picked now, but he's still a little bit less popular these days. And between Mei and Decade, there's so much potential zoning, but other heroes will fill that too. And it's something that is underestimated, because every single one of the objectives has at minimum 2 and at most like 4 points you can enter for any single opportunity to try and engage. If you can cut off 1 or 2 of them, then the enemy team either has to move through it or rotate around and pick another one, and that's another quite a few objective points you can pick up. Speaking of people who can pick up the objective points, Hogger is removed. There are a couple points that have infinite bounce locations on this map, so removing him removes that potential for a very hard engage, technically zoning, as you see a spinning knoll roll past you.
Now, I'm wondering who we're going to see in terms of the DPS here. Utherban, I think that's fair. Still a very strong main tank in the right hand. The hands of these guys, you know, they're all like Master, Grandmaster, no big deal. So, gonna get rid of them. Stukov banned away as well, one of the tippy-top support heroes right now. I'm curious to see if we're going to see Anduin as well. So, you know, Anduin, the DPS that we typically see. Cassia is very strong. Tychus is one that's kind of, I think, sleeper OP that people aren't necessarily picking on Infernal Shrines, but the grenade actually does work. Junkrat, though, rising to popularity, gonna be that first pick for Kelsier.
Banned out in the last game because Kelsier is so good on this hero, so it's a solid pickup at early stages here. But it does, once again, give away Valor over to the side of CCS if they want it, because they have lost that Uther here. So if we're looking at double supports, then we're going to have to go a different route, potentially bring out that Zarya we saw from AVD, or busting out something like a Decade to give extra shielding. We are seeing Valor, and we're going with that burst healing at early levels, that Brightwing, percentage healing, spell armor, all things that will help keep Roger alive.
This is really interesting here from them. Brightwing obviously does a lot of work, and she has good spell power. So far, just showing the Junkrat, I think that's great into There's still a lot of really strong things that counter, and without the Uther, it makes me kind of nervous, because for folks who don't know, Vala has less health than Tracer. So without that, you know, a Uther that says you take 25% less damage for the next couple of seconds, we're gonna have to rely a lot on the teleport from Brightwing, so most likely going Hyper Shift here. And I'm so curious what that other support could be. If it is a Zarya, like you said, we're going to go the more spicy route. We just have a super squishy team. I was going to say of Malfurion, but it's actually banned away by Can't Censor ship. So, besides Zarya, I'm not 100% sure what they can go, unless they're just going to hard commit to Vala playing safe and going as second DPS here.
So, like you say, they could even commit to that second DPS and have Valor play safe, but you already mentioned the healers are potentially a little more scarce here, so my only way I think we could go on that, outside of what we've already discussed, is just hyper-committing 2 damage, but still going that second healer, bringing back the Ana, and just nano-boost commit, run it down until they die, and just hope you can do it that way. Or auto-attack build with that with Stim Drone or Bloodlust, but Rhaegar's terrible. So, probably not that, and also auto-attack Valor, ew. We're going to see that Mei banned out because she is very strong. We already mentioned on the map, especially into a Garrosh. Garrosh, he's trying to run at you, and then he has to walk through a snowstorm. Going to make it a bit harder.
Going for the Johanna and the Blaze this time round, so really flexing that bottom last slot here. One of the advantages of going map pick that I think a lot of folks don't always realize is that you have the last pick. You could see everything you're against and go to from there. It worked out swimmingly last time with the Deathwing. I don't know if Deathwing really fits the bill here this time. In fact, you know, I'm gonna make a fool of myself probably and cast or commit and say I wouldn't pick Deathwing here personally, but I'm also not a pro player. Deckard Cain coming out, as you called. Good call, Tetcher. And then Carbon grabbing the Sylvanas.
Deckard zoning is great, and it takes it away from the potential Vala comp. It has a shielding heal, so it could actually be a little bit of extra protection for Vala. So it's a reasonable takeaway. And of course, dropping that scroller ceiling into a deeper explosion, into a taunt, equals absolute death. So what do we see? I agree, potentially unlikely on the Deathwing, but what do they pick instead? A second damage healer or a healer? Where are they going? They go Zarya. We are committing straight down the middle. We're going to pick someone who can try and keep that Valor alive, but will do some damage and AoE damage because it's grenades and laser for the objective. It's a risky pick. Zarya is very much a we win really hard hero or we lose quite hard hero because she is so volatile. You have to play so well. And you have to bear in mind that Zarya does damage, but it's spread out. So you can't hard commit to some kills. You've got to be careful with this. It's risky, but it can work.
Absolutely. You know, right now as we head in, though, as we're looking at this game, like, if I'm can't censorship right now, I'm shaking in my boots. That's a lot of displacement from the side of 30k blue. Garrosh, Junkrat, Diva with the mech, you know, and knocking people back. Later on, Sylvanas will get potentially mind control, so that just forces you out of position. Sleep from Deckard. This is definitely going to be have to be, you know, heavy re-engage here. The Bruisers are going to have to play back. Otherwise, I believe 30k blue may just eat them alive.
I think I am with you. I have a theory that we might be able to make this work based on... Hang on, I'm trying to find our observer. There we go. That looks like where they are. So I think what we might end up seeing is we're probably going to see CCS not play too aggressively in the early game unless they can get a really hard engage, because they don't have the equipment to just immediately detonate someone. But what they do have is the potential for multiple unstoppables in the late game. Brightwing can go to cleanse build if she wants to. Zarya, who's got a very interesting level 1, we'll get to that in a second, can go self-unstoppable on her own shields, and also can go the cleanse for a ally CC removal on her shields later on. We're heading in, and Jixie, who's on the left?
Alrighty, on the left-hand side, rocking those blue health bars. We got Vince on that Deckard Cain. Kelsier will be your Junkrat. Sylvanas will be played by Carbon. Chuggy on that Garrosh, and Lupus will be your Diva.
On the right-hand side, in the red trucks, it will be Card Censorship with Caesar Salad playing that Johanna, the Thanatos on Blaze. Roger will be back on that Vala. Xenorus on the Brightwing. That's going to be Pirate Rum sailing through the air majestically and playing Zarya.
Already that big damage coming out, the big displacement coming out there. You can see those red health bars getting super low. Caesar Salad needing that teleport and the Zarya shield to come out. Johanna being quite bullied, and oh my goodness, on the Junkrat, just constantly harassing that front line. This is another problem that I didn't realize apparent in the draft, but having these 3 frontliners, Zarya is ranged, and so are Blaze, but I mean, they're basically melee, right? That range is so small. This is free poppins for Junkrat minds.
I am curious, though, how they are going to build this Zarya, because we are starting off with an unusual talent. Usually with Vala, we would be going with an ally shield talent I can't remember the name of at level 1, where you gain energy from your ally's damage when they are affected by shield ally. In this case, we are going with maximum charge. Every globe gives 20 energy for this Zarya, and when she has spent a solid amount of time at 50 or above energy, then she gains 20 maximum energy. This will increase her maximum damage output, but is a much harder talent to stack, although she is doing a fantastic job right now.
CS maybe wondering they have a little bit low of a damage intake to go for that one. When you're thinking of is together we are strong, and that's usually, as you said,
That's the one.
what we see. Not this time round, though. Already stacking it quite fast. These Junkrat concussion mines really helping out with that. This constant knockbacks from those cannonballs as well. It's just stacking her away. And then, of course, the globes helping them out as well. The lane control is in favor of Censor's ship right now. Tons of wave clear with the Zarya, with the Vala, with the Johanna. So 30k Blue just having to play safe, of course, for those awesome explosions.
Speaking of those awesome explosions, it is boom pow for Junkrat to make it even worse. 10-second cooldown reduction every time they hit an enemy hero with that concussion mine, just making it so hard to engage between them and Deccan. It's going to be miserable. On the other side, Zarya, give me 20, going for the cooldown reduction, no extra speed needed. Instead, just spam those shields, which they can get cleanse on later on. And Brightwing not going for cleanse at all, going for that dream shot to combo with Hush later on.
I love Boom Pow. It's one of the reasons I don't play Junkrat on my own stream. It's just so fun just to throw the mine and boop, and I laugh my head off the whole time. So, you know, they're probably taking this a little bit more seriously on the side of 30k Blue. It's a big team fight coming out here. Kelsier actually ends up getting really low. Everyone's got to back out of that total mayhem. Carbon low as well there. Vala just able to freely stack in the backline. Already 16 stacks on that fire at will. They have really strong control of this top shrine here. It's going to be an Arcane Punisher to start. You know, not one that you necessarily have to push with. Those Arcane Sentinels do a lot of work on their own, but still something that you definitely don't want to give away for free. Looks like with 40 stacked up, though, the members of 30k Blue just going to try and get work done elsewhere, which I think is really smart.
Having a look at some of these level 7 talents, we have that extra burst once again with Frost Shots. The Fuel Leak this time for Blaze, and he's gone for Incinerator Gauntlets as well, potentially building further into that AoE fire damage later on into the game as Violet finishes the quest. We still get that pinpoint accuracy from Zarya as they will eat the damage to maximize that energy and continue to siege down with those grenades. And Garrett, oh, I got Pirate Rum thrown in. Anti-heal already applied with that Emerald from Deccan Kane. And yep, there's the Boom Pow. Goodbye, Zarya. No way out. But what I wanted to say is Garrosh also, with the new and improved patch, doesn't have to go for the ally thrower anymore. So instead, we get Oppressor. 30% spell power reduction on auto attacks and on Bloodthirst. Going to be so strong if he can just get to Vala.
Best thing about it, he does get that extra armor running in. So he's one of those tanks that actually can walk in. Doesn't necessarily mind if he takes free damage. Obviously, you don't want to be taking free damage all the time, but a couple auto attacks here or there doesn't really make a difference. The rough things that I think Zarya just learned there is we're going to see actually a big damage coming out onto Nathanatos, trying to get away. They drop the Pyromania. Don't have that unstoppable this time round. Instead, went for the Neural Stim Pack, getting that extra mana and those ability charges. But we'll be able to get away. The rest of this strong 3-man just popping away at this top lane.
So my theory is Fuel Leak combined with some of the other charge talents, because we do see a lot of popularity on that charge damage, for example, at level 13. So potentially just getting that cooldown reduction just to spam it out and just literally stun lock your opponents that way. Johanna Blaze is a classic combo, originally comboed with Hanzo. Those three together were one of the original trios of Doom. So I'm curious to see how they are able to execute this and how New Blaze is executed in that way, as both teams pretty much simultaneously hit level 10.
Anything unusual here, and everything looks to be the same for the moment. The big question is, will Johanna go Falling Sword? It's holding for right now. A couple of different reasons to go at. The big one being the recent change to Falling Sword does allow you to have that extra unstoppable for your team, but they've gone for Blessed Shield. We see a little bit less of it right now just because Blessed Shield isn't the newest, coolest thing. So tank mains, you know, anytime they get a new toy, they gotta burn it into the ground. But still an incredible heroic, almost picked 80-20 over the former before this most recent patch.
Very much so, very much so. So we're going to continue to see this push into the bottom lane for the moment. Kelsier is trying to push out this lane. Gets Gushimine in place. Ooh, Xenomorph's fantastic bait to avoid getting knocked away. And Zarya finishes that level 1 talent, and the Thanatos is in trouble. But the turnaround, blessed shield from behind, fantastic ally throw from Chuggy as Lupus also survives and keeps the self-destruct. That was a fail of a gank by 30k Blue, but a fantastic escape.
Just be able to stay back safely now. Regroup. Kelsier has to deal with this bottom lane. The Shrine is active. It's going to be a Frozen Punisher this time around. So this is the one you really don't want to give up. Biggest reason being it turns off your powers for those who may not be aware. You have the bomb ready, so Diva can come in and try and defend against us, and it looks like that's what 30k are ready to do here. We're gonna see the Riptire come in as well, trying to get some of these skeletal defenders out. We're gonna jump in the back. Loop is still pretty healthy, holding on to that bomb. Big stun coming in from the Thanatos. Stay a while and listen. Interrupted by the Zarya immediately. Volant taunted out of that strafe there, and Sylvanas is gonna be the first to go down.
Lupus pops the bunker to try and survive as Garrosh is taken out. Diva forced to boost away. The self-destruct not enough to protect Sylvanas, who tried to hide underneath it. And the chase is relentless. CCS pushing through. They hit 13 first, and even into a Diva mech self-destruct, they push on through, tank through the fights, and they're going to be able to push into that bottom keep.
A team looking pretty strong right now. One thing I'm curious about as we just keep going back to these builds is Sylvanas went for the Might of the Banshee Queen. Now that is the typical pick. It is still very strong. I'm just kind of curious why they didn't opt for that extra % damage with all three of these big, thick, beefy boys running at her constantly. Because this looks like it's really hard for 30k Blue to kill the thick front line of Can't Censor ship.
And the only logic I can think of behind that, and is still potentially pretty good logic from their side if that's what they went for, is the opportunity for shielding to immediately counteract single target damage, as Garrosh doesn't have that luxury, but tanks through anyway. Bunker just in time here, but getting more spread damage from that AoE spell power buff that Carbon gets with Might of the Banshee Queen could protect them. What a throw! The concussion mine there, but the turnaround kills. The chase in is too good. Caesar Salad picking up 2 of those kills as Chuggy barely alive. Pirate Rum grenade sidestepped 1. Pirate Rum actually running low on health. Also retreat. Caesar Salad! Caesar Salad's going for it. Kelsier, risky play, frozen. He wants it. They get the kill.
Ends up being the Vala kill there, so they can't flame Kelsier too much there. But once again, can't censor ship. Showing a dominant performance here. And what an absolute Chad move. Doesn't even flinch at any of those grenades being dropped there. Hearts back to base. Gets all that health and mana back. And Can't Censor ship are just totally control of this map right now as they seal away the aggressive siege camp.
They're putting on such a good show. They have a level and a half lead, and it is showing. Zarya has that unstoppable competitor now, making it even harder for them to set up. Garrosh does get the blood craze here. You know what, in this game, I think that's fair. That extra 15% maximum health healing, it could be pretty reasonable here. That might help them with the Sustainer Blaze. Did go for how we predicted here. Collision course and thermal protection. It's all in on a charge build. And Zarya, the cleansing shield now, the extra cleanse for her team. Pirate Rum has been keeping everyone alive really well here. It's 2 kills to 8, and this is likely to continue as they just finished level 4 as well. They got Give Me 20.
Really well done by Can't Censor ship here. 30k Blue need to find level 16 before they can engage again. They're going to look to grab their own camp, try and take that off the map, and then just get clearing away. Big thing here, they still have this middle fort. How long that stays is to be determined, but as long as they have that, they can still rotate safely around the map. So Lupus may have to burn the self-destruct, doesn't get the opportunity. Great use of that Blessed Shield and the Expulsion Zone. Junkrat gonna land a huge Riptire there, though. Caesar Salad may have bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. Nathanatos coming in with the bunker, and Zinara is able to save Caesar Salad's life. Junkrat goes down, Sylvanas goes down, and that short-lived advantage will begin to fall as this fort drops.
Can't censor ship for the 2nd game in a row, just proving to be too hard to kill. They take down the fort and set themselves up for a weakened keep. They're unlikely to be able to get the full keep here, but they will be able to get some damage done, or at least open it up.
Gonna continue to, like you said, push it down. staying far enough back that Garrosh can't get in. It's been a really hard time for Garrosh in the early game. Looked like there was a lot of value from those displacements there, from Junkrat specifically, but the way that Censorship have changed the way they play is really just shows you how skilled these players are. Once again, rotating around, getting those camps, making sure that they constantly have pressure on the map before going in. It's been really hard. The value that 30k Blue had really isn't there as much, just by a great way in thinking that Censorship changed.
To see the push on in spread volley. Garrosh now has that Earth Shaker going for a little mini stun. If they can lock him down, maybe the team can do enough damage. Kelsier sieging away both teams to try and find positioning here. The Thanatos poking away. Chuggy's already at half health before the fights even start. Steps forward, big stun, but they can't turn it round. The anti-heal is good, but the Thanatos still gets the healing and the bunker, and that blocks off everyone with the expulsion zone. Garrosh is down. Lupus will escape with the self-destruct, and the concussion mine forces the tanks into the back line. The concussion mine backfiring. Down goes Johanna, but Vince is barely alive, barely escaping here, and Lupus will be sacrificed for the greater good here.
Oh, maybe not. The good to go coming through.
Nice.
Stay while and listen. Shuts down the chase. Roger looks for him, but knows when to back off. 20-18. This is only a Mortar Punisher, so not necessarily the strongest, but always good to have. The rest of the members of 30k have to back off, clear out this top lane. Bot continually putting pressure on. You can see they're slowing it down on the side of Censorship. 3 camps available, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see the standard of taking 39 skeletal defenders and then just getting value elsewhere before coming back and claiming them.
Exactly what they can do here. This will be pushing into the middle lane, so with 2 siege caps, it's going to be so deadly. They don't even need to get the bot lane one, because this could still potentially be a game-ending push for them, which they will have level 20 for. This might be all they need. Johanna's on the way. Zarya waiting out. They're going to grab it now so that they don't lose all the camp value, because the first camp will actually get a little bit deep pushed. No, actually, 30k Blue don't even step up to try. They don't want to take any risks here. They stay back, so this will be 2 full siege caps, a catapult, and a mortar Punisher, all pushing in to mid-keep.
Level 20's online to boot. This is going to be a really rough defense. Immediately, that Indomitable was popped by Chuggy, but he already loses half of his health. Decker trying to keep him alive, and the keep not long for this world continues to go down. All 5 members are here to defend, though. Chuggy and Lupus need to get on that back line. Expulsion Zone comes out. Lupus already losing that mech, is going to go down despite the good to go. Decker Kane trying to step up and heal, but not able to do so. Big taunt, however, will end the life of Chuggy. This Vala is too much. Roger is popping off with that level 20. Caesar Salad has bloodlust as Deckard Kane ends up going down. Nathanatos sending a message, and it looks like this is going to be game number 2 and the series going over to Censorship.
Very well played. CCS take the win. And with that, they will get that higher seed going in to the DreamHack Beyond playoffs. Very solid performance, very good play. And congratulations to both these teams. 30k Blue, they still make it, joining their sister team, the 30k OG, in the DreamHack Beyond playoffs. I'm excited. I hope you all are. DreamHack Beyond is going to be a virtual LAN event where everyone is welcome to jump on in and watch some amazing esports action, and we will be bringing you those playoffs when they happen. I am so excited. They should be good, but in this game, 3 kills to 18 at the end there. Roger, the only thing that stopped them dropping that strafe with the upgraded level 20 in that final fight was that taunt. Chuggy gave his life to try and give one last chance to the team, but they just couldn't seem to execute it. You can really tell by the damage numbers. Junkrat, 60,000, a huge amount of AoE, really kept up, but Sylvanas just couldn't step up and couldn't get the positioning to take these fights. Only 41k, which is less than Vala in this case, less than that Junkrat, just couldn't get the DPS out.
It's always weird when you talk about damage, especially, a lot of people think that higher damage means you did good job, right? You did your job as an assassin. You look here, 60k on Kelsier. That's 5k more than Roger. But if you look at the kills, 6 kills, 12 assists versus the 2-1 of Junkrat there. So what happened there is the damage just mattered a little bit more. Roger was able to step up. He was very safe with the Brightwing, with the Blaze, Johanna, everybody playing their part to make sure they could do as much as possible, and ended up just really making an impact. Roger basically untouchable. No deaths, you know, participated in every single kill. A stellar performance from everybody all around.
Very nicely done indeed. Like you said, the damage numbers don't tell everything here, but they do at least give us an idea of positioning and how far they were able to step up. The fact that the kills are so evenly spread on the side of 30k blue is so big as well, that everyone died equally, because it basically meant that almost every single fight was a full team wipe, except for Vince, who was a sneaky chap and was able to sneak away from the majority of those fights. But they've got a couple weeks to prep for the playoffs, so 30k blue, they're going to come back swinging. They're going to be coming back to try and pick up those wins. But CCS, they got close last week. They actually put up a really good fight and won the third place match. Let's see what they can do when it comes to the actual players. Where these two teams will be joining all CCL teams, so they've got everything to prove, nothing to lose here. Let's see what they can do. I'm so hyped.
Me as well. You know, CCS, they've had a taste of victory, and I hope they're hungry for more. That being said, I wouldn't count 30k blue out just yet. They've got a rough couple of days coming up here, but you know, they've got the time to prep. They have the guidance of the 30k team themselves. Those are folks that they can scrim, they can learn, do some replay reviews, and I think they'll come back stronger than ever.
So much to do, so little time, but we have a wonderful playoffs. A reminder of the final teams in those playoffs so that we get all the action and you get hyped. The current favorites coming in from qualifier number 1, Simplicity and Diamond Hands, putting on a very good performance back when Diamond Hands were under the Onyx banner, although in this case they were stonk, but they are now Diamond Hands. From qualifier number 2, Wildtar Esports and 30k OG, or just 30k in this case. Qualifier 3, for last week that Jixie was casting with Crowan, Oxygen Esports and Granite Gaming, and we get those sneaky non-CCL teams for the final qualifier. Big hype, big excite. This is going to be good. This is going to be a really good playoffs.
I am super excited. I hope you guys are as well. We'll be back in 2 weeks here where you will see both myself, Tetcher, and Crowan casting those finals. Thanks so much for watching, guys. It's always a pleasure. Please check out the DreamHack Twitter so you can see when we go live,
Discord,
when all the good stuff is happening. Yeah, make sure to join the Discord. And then, of course, not next Friday, the Friday after next, you can see us here for all the Heroes of the Storm action. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.